All right guys, in this video, me and Rich are gonna be taking the LandCruiser from the shop in Ontario all the way back to our shop in Golden to get the batteries put in. And there's some stops along the way. While we were driving, we noticed that Salt Lake City, Utah had a LandCruiser Museum, and like we're not gonna not stop in there and see it.
We had to stop by and show off our hybrid, but also wanted to come inside, show you guys what's inside the museum. And as we are becoming more and more familiar with the LandCruisers, I'm starting to like them more and more every time. So we're gonna show you some of our favorites, some of the coolest ones here, and talk to some of the owners here as to why LandCruiser. So I haven't been doing a bunch of updates yet on the LandCruiser because it's all finicky stuff. It's all this little wiring here, running it nice and neat and tidy, making all these clamps, making everything go. But I'm kind of stressing out because Boss Man's coming and I want it to look good for when he comes here. And, oh shit, what are you doing here?
Ah, just having a look what you did. Honestly, this looks fantastic. The cable management is on point. That's one of the huge upgrades you had from Topsy, is working on cable management. It's all neat, it's tidy. I think some things may be a little overbuilt. Maybe we've got 3,000 PSI hydraulic lines to run some coolant, but the customer requested on this one that they go absolute reliability above everything, so it is overbuilt. I just really like it. The cables are nice, they're neat, they're tucked in. I don't think Rich left a spare inch of anything. I'll be honest, when this project started out, I didn't even know if it was honestly possible. I thought we were gonna have to use way more of the box. The fact that we were able to fit it all in here on the LandCruiser, which is about the shortest chassis possible, it means that on the pickup trucks, we'll be able to do everything on the chassis. So we can build a chassis with everything in it, take the body, and then just drop the body onto an existing pre-built chassis. So it gives us an extra option rather than having to swap everything and pull everything out. We can pre-build a chassis, deliver a chassis, and then drop the body onto that chassis. So that's gonna speed things up a bit too.
They didn't want any electronics inside the cab. So the cab is basically stock as can be, and they did want everything in the box in the back here. So we've got everything mounted nicely. Everything is removable. All the nuts are welded on the back, so it's just a couple bolts. If we want to service this, it's 3 bolts that go down there and pull off, and then the inverter and the 3-in-1, and then the coolant lines go down through the floor. That cooling system goes underneath here, where I actually have some inventory, and then yeah, all the cooling systems all kind of plumbed in. We have to put the chiller gets connected to one of those yet. But other than that, we're ready to throw the cab back on again, but I'm out of parts, Chase.
Yeah, well, Rich is taking this about as far as he can take it out in Ontario, so that's why I'm here. I'm gonna grab this up, haul it back to BC, where our engineers are gonna be installing the batteries and then commissioning the truck. The important part is that me and Rich are gonna be driving this across the country, which means that we have 3 days to sit together and analyze what makes the most sense economically on how to deliver this kit. So it sounds like a fun road trip, but really it's gonna be 3 days of deliberating, looking at the math, looking at the numbers, and figuring out how are we gonna commercialize this to our customers going forward. So hopefully by the end of this road trip, we got more of a solution.
All right, so we got the entire truck back together again, and now it's your baby.
Yeah,
I'm kind of sad to see it go.
I'm kind of excited to grab it. Yeah, the batteries are showing up next week to Merritt, so we'll take the cab off. We're gonna set it aside. We're gonna put those batteries in. Can start running the wiring harnesses, getting those tested. Then what we'll do is we'll lift it in the air. We'll get it all working up in the air. Once we're happy that it's working as a chassis, get you back over to BC, and we'll do the completion work then and drop the cab back on.
Right on.
So Rich, what do you think of the new Duramax?
Well, so he told me it's got some issues.
This is honestly why I hate new trucks. We have no information, no control. It doesn't tell us what's going on. A lot of black smoke coming out of the engine bay, so that's healthy.
We're smoking like a freight train. Is that the burn? I think it is. We just gotta wait for it to finish. So this is entirely my fault. This was a free truck. We appreciate the free truck. This was like, okay, you take
Super
this
nicely
truck.
to get a free truck, yeah.
And we put 15,000 kilometers on it because we fixed the DPF before. We got it to clear. Now it's acting up again because I tried to do a reburn and then I think it was so clogged that it actually popped the hose off. Now we're in trouble.
I've got to get this back to Golden and our shop. Can somebody tell me what this fault code means? Open, then close driver window. What does that have to do with anything? Why do I need to open and close my driver window to clear a fault code? This truck has all the sensors. It knows everything that it's doing.
It's just broke in at 615,000 kilometers.
Yeah, it's only got 600,000 kilometers.
So, oh, okay. Take that off, I can see what's going on underneath. It could just be a clamp for the up pipe. It could. That's all it could be a clamp. It could be a clamp on the up pipe.
It is now middle of the night. We're gonna call a tow truck. We have no way to fix this on the side of the road, but this is one of these things that just, I want a hybrid so bad. It's like, if we had the batteries, we keep going, I'd be in the next town, we wouldn't be stranded here at 10, 11 o'clock at night waiting for a tow truck. Well, all in all, we got to the next town, we got in here, had a good conversation with the tow truck driver, entertaining. We're here, we made it. We'll figure out a solution in the morning, but for now, it's like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to bed.
So Theron's here with the gooseneck. They're already loading up the 2017. What exactly happened to this?
Okay, so starting out, we had an EGT temperature sensor that was probably reading incorrectly. And as you guys were going across the prairie, it was probably being biased, reading incorrect temperature. And when you have that in an emission system, it messes the whole system up. You got to have a temperature sensor in each appropriate location so the system works appropriately.
Okay. So it's trying to regen, and it has to get the exhaust hot, so it dumps extra fuel in there to burn the carbon out. But instead, it's dumping so much fuel in there because the EGT sensor's off. It just clogged the rest of the DPF the rest of the way, right?
The band clamp between the turbo and the filter right there got so hot that it stretched and it blew all the exhaust out from under the hood. And I imagine it was glowing red when you guys started going up the hill.
Oh, it's too bad it didn't burn to the ground because it's insured for quite a bit.
So I undid the down pipe and allowed some of that pressure out. And then I ended up having to put another hole in there, and I could finally get it to run enough to regen. And it regen for 3 hours. At the end of the day, when I turned it off and then went to move it again and start it, it was plugged up again almost.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, it is what it is. Still a decent truck. We're gonna take this truck back, do some diagnosing with it. This was exactly what the truck was for. We'll take this frame off. We'll do a bunch of 3D imaging on it. We'll start working with the CAN bus. And now the truck is going on to more testing. So, Alex, thank you very, very much. Yeah, off-road
Field services.
Off-road field services. Can't say enough. Check them out. Gonna go to Salt Lake City now, off to the Toyota Museum. Here we go.
Okay, so we are here at the LandCruiser Museum in Salt Lake City, Utah. It is about midnight. Looked around for hotels and they're like $220 for the night. Found a hotel that has 2 double beds and a pull-out, but there is 4 of us here. So decided that, you know what? I'll be the odd man out. I'll take the sleeper, which means I get to be the first one to sleep in an Edison sleeper.
Hey, Chase. Time to get up.
Morning.
Morning.
Have you heard about Jesus Christ there, Lord and Savior? Oh, honestly, the sleeper's pretty comfy. It's not bad. It's
nice.
I really do like a nice coffin sleeper. Good windows. I could monitor the LandCruiser Museum all night.
tell us about your truck. I'm kind of curious.
I'll be honest, I wasn't really that much into Toyotas before I started. Being in BC, hauling into the mines, I've seen all the LandCruisers driving around the mines. I thought, oh, that's a cool little truck. Really learning about the history of these things, seeing what goes into them, and now working on the build, seeing how tough these things are, I've gained a lot of respect for the Toyota LandCruiser. Well, this is a map of where all the visitors from around the world have come from, and there's nobody from Donald, BC yet. There we go. We got the Edison headquarters on the map.
So this building right here that we're in right now, it used to be it's called a May Foundry. It used to be a metal casting foundry. They used to cast up to 9,000 pounds of metal. And it was mainly in the railroad industry. There's actually train tracks that lead into the building that we've kind of left in there for kind of nostalgia reason. But it was built early 1900s, maybe 1920s, 30s. And they closed down in 2018. And then we bought the building 2019, renovated it inside. We kept the building as original as possible because we love that history that comes with it. And I think it fits so well with all the vehicles that are in there. And you gotta kind of go in there and kind of see it for yourself and how well it fits.
So when the mining companies get them, this is how they looked when they're all kitted out. All right, so the first truck we had to come see is a truck that's for our own customer in the mining industry, and this is a mining truck. So the reason why they use these trucks, they're super tough, super reliable, and this truck is designed to go underground. You'll notice it's been beefed up, heavier bar connected directly to the frame rail. It's got heavier diffs. It's got a full-on canopy over top, because if you're gonna be underground, there's gonna be overhead rocks, things that could fall on the cab. The transport box back here is all extra reinforced. You notice how the sides all been scratched up from banging it into the mine? So this thing is designed, so they take a stock Toyota LandCruiser, the heavier built one, and they upgrade it to go underground.
Right, so this is the heavier one, the J7. What's neat about it is as soon as they get it, it's outfitted by a company called Miller for a Canadian mine, and they lock the transfer case into low, and so you do not get any faster than 15 mile an hour. Now having these is like, you don't see too many of these because according to the sign here, as soon as they're done in the mine, they get crushed. They destroy the rest of the truck. So not that there's much left to destroy after it, but this one is definitely the heavy spec meant to work hard and put away wet.
We could find one that was brand new. We couldn't buy the brand new one, but the issue there would not be street legal. So when the mine is done with this, they can't sell them like a normal vehicle because they can never go on the street. So if it's done the end of your useful life, which is a pretty hard life, they normally just crush them. So it's actually cool to see one here in person that survived.
So the torque is pretty cool because if you've driven in anything electric, we have 100% torque at 1 RPM. As soon as it's spinning, we have that high torque. So we are able to offer a package which has the high torque instantly, but once we leave the portal through GPS and sensors, we can actually unlock the 15 mile an hour speed limit and do actual running around outside on the yard too. So we're figuring out all these things that are possible and really, really excited about that. All right, so this is still a LandCruiser, even though it fits the tracks of a Hummer, looks like a Hummer, but is actually reliable and doesn't have a 6.2 GM diesel in it that constantly shits the bed. So let's call Toyota. Still has portal axles. I don't think you're able to deflate and inflate the tires, but it does basically look like a very light Hummer. But probably I would hop in this to get to where I'm going before I would hop in anything GM put out at that time.
See the bullet hole?
Oh yeah.
Bullet hole.
Somebody got mad at the horn? Is that the horn?
No, that's your blackout light.
Oh.
So what those covers are for is you can switch to a low light and it would just illuminate an area just in front and then you couldn't see it from far distances away. Before you had night vision goggles, that was the solution. So this here is a civilian version of the military one, and I could not imagine a worse vehicle to have this as a civilian in Japan than this. Like the size of Japanese roads, the small cars they use, and someone's like, you know what? We should sell a Hummer. And it's not like they sold it in the US. This was just sold in Japan. Imagine trying to fit this downtown Tokyo.
And as wide as it is, the driver is about as comfortable as we are in the Defender.
Okay, so this one was owned by the Brazilian military, and a lot of people wondered what this thing is for on the front here. And this is for when you're operating in an area with guerrillas, enemy forces. A lot of the time they would stretch a thin cable across the road. So when you'd be cruising along at night or in the daytime, it'd be really hard to see a cable. It'd go through the windshield and injure the occupants. So as you see a lot of Willys Jeeps in World War II, they just put a big metal post on the front and that would shear any kind of cable you could put across. It's just an extra way to defend things. So I've noticed something interesting here, and this part of the leaf spring setup that swings and articulates is at the front on Land Cruisers. Now, every semi-truck I've ever seen, that part is always at the rear and it's always hard mounted at the front.
Yes, there's videos out there, and I don't know specifically about the F350 is that the reverse shackle kit to put that on the front because it changes the ride quality. Because when you're going over a bump with the articulating in the back, it kind of has like a catch up, whereas it pushes it over. I don't know exactly what the geometry of the theory is, but we drove in a truck that had the reverse shackle from OBS Solutions, and it drives way nicer. So Toyota already knew that decades before everybody else, but I don't know why the semis are all on the back.
I wonder if there's a strength reason or...
Yeah, maybe.
Now, I might not try it out immediately with 20,000 pounds and hand it to a customer. This is one of those things where like, I'm debating because you learn cool things. You're like, should we look at that? Should we consider doing that? Does it work on a semi-truck? And you're like, oh, maybe I also shouldn't give it to a customer experimentally.
No, you're already doing innovative things. You might as well just keep going, right?
Well, I've always hated the line, well, we're doing it that way because that's the way it's always been done.
Right.
Honestly, I think this one is my favorite one of the whole one here.
Yeah?
And not just because it's got a drop visor. I do like the drop visor though.
Why is it your favorite?
I don't know.
No?
Just of all the ones, this is the one that's...
Okay.
I have... It's automotive. There's not... You don't have to have a really specific good reason. It's just of all the ones I look at, this is the one, my favorite.
It's because it's yellow.
Another thing I really like here is that it's got a mechanically driven winch. So there's actually a drive shaft that drives this winch. So it's not electric. Come from somebody that's ran a bed truck with a mechanical winch, hydraulic winch, like anything to get away from an electrical winch, I am more than happy. So to see that, that's sweet.
Don't you build electric trucks?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So this one, I'm drawn to this one, and I don't know even exactly why. It's got a gas engine, which is the first thing I would change. But now that I look, it is like the tallest, basically the tallest one here. It was built in Venezuela, and it doesn't say all the upgrades, but probably lift kit, tires, things like that. It's left-hand drive, but to me, I don't know. I'm just drawn to this one, where it's like, this is pretty boss driving this.
It's automotive. You don't have to have a specific reason.
No, I don't have to have it. It's just this one. So my thing is, I went with the Defenders because honestly, I think the Defender looks better. I like the looks of them better. But this is a very nice looking, with just the right touches, right? Nice bumper, a little bit of a lift kit, bigger wheels and tires, and then nicely done. Basically everything that I do gets bigger wheels and tires, but this one is done really, really nice.
Hey, so this is my favorite one. This is the 1953. It's one of the original body styles. It was designed to compete against the Willys. It's simple, she's clean. Look at that nice big square rad on her. Simple hooks. I mean, what's not to love? This is where everything started. I like the older stuff, how simple it is. Yeah, so this is my favorite one out of the entire thing, and it's the oldest one here.
What I don't like is that if you do smash up a bumper, it is special order bumper and it takes a while to get it.
Yeah, that C channel is going to take, at least 18 months to order up, at least, like $5 grand.
It's for the Korean War, eh?
Korean War, to compete against the Willys. 85 horsepower, 4-speed. So it's like my Suzuki Sidekick I had.
Okay, now my favorite vehicle here, sacrilegiously in the LandCruiser Museum, is the Toyota Hilux. Reasons are probably I've always wanted a Toyota Hilux, and this is definitely the coolest one I've ever seen. We're in Canada, it gets pretty cold, there's lots of snow. This thing's built for it. The inflatable tires that even come pre-studded, it's just a badass truck. The huge tires compensate for my little package. all around, yeah, I'm pretty sure that those steps, side steps, double as perhaps a jack stand. They look like a useful tool. We're pretty sure they're jack stands, but they pop off. And makes me think, like, when you have side steps, they're all useless. And if you can make them a usable tool, why aren't you doing that? Why aren't we doing that? Come on, guys.
I fell in love with Hiluxes way back when I went to Burkina Faso. They had the little 80s club cabs there. They just absolutely took a beating. Behind me is a Hilux meant for the Arctic, pretty much right out of Top Gear, where Jeremy and May went up and raced Richard and sled dogs. This is super, super cool. It's nice seeing it in person. This isn't the one from that show, obviously. This one did 7 different expeditions, and it's on the door of all the different places that they've gone to. So if you guys followed our trip across Africa, we grabbed a couple Land Rovers, Defenders, and traveled through South Africa, Namibia, and Botswana, and then floated it over to Halifax, where we drove it through Canada. That was definitely motivated by Top Gear, but we're not the only ones. There's also the Expedition 7. Their goal was to drive a vehicle across all different 7 continents. What's cool about that is they figured out a route of where they wanted to go. Then they decided what vehicle to pick. Now, obviously, they didn't want to wrench on them every day like we did, so they bought LandCruisers. The United States laws are pretty sticky on what you can actually import. So they actually had to start a company in New Zealand, bring the vehicles there, then register and license them in New Zealand and bring them to the United States on a temporary visa before they got deported. They're still here. Cool story on how that expedition started and then turned into just the most epic memories you could possibly make with a group of friends.
They have their packages that they had behind these Land Cruisers for their trip around the world. And I'd like to point out that welder and tools gets 1 crate, but toilet paper gets as much as all their tools. I mean, it makes sense.
It makes sense.
All right, I got all my tools to fix it on this around the world journey and another crate of shit tickets.
All right, so I'm here with Eddie from the Toyota LandCruiser Museum. You were part of building a couple of the ones inside?
Yes.
So we thought we'd show you ours. It's a little different than anything you've ever seen, I think.
It's definitely a little different.
Yeah.
So even the motors are water cooled too?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So what it is a little 2.8 liter Cummins, and I seen the one for the SEMA, the red one. Is that the one you worked on? Yeah. So that's the same 2.8 Cummins with a generator, 100 kilowatt hour generator behind it. So the idea is to charge the batteries, and then the batteries obviously power the electric axles. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
I'll show you my favorite.
All right.
I was just the mechanic, one of the mechanics on the build. It was built for SEMA,
Yeah.
for Cummins, but yeah,
Because back in 17 is when you built it?
I think 18.
18.
2.8 Cummins.
Yeah.
Same as ours.
Pretty cool. Yeah, that was right when the 2.8s were starting to come out in the North American
were just
market,
coming
right?
out, yes. Built this truck in about 5 months, 4 or 5 months.
Nice, nice. And what's the transmission?
It's an H55F.
Okay. Very cool. This one, in true Toyota fashion, does have a front drive shaft, and you were one of the only ones at SEMA with a front drive shaft.
Probably. Probably still today.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping to bring ours to SEMA, and we will legitimately have Bluetooth drive shafts. So, so I'm here with Sam, who's also from the museum. We have to grab him one at a time, so somebody's still manning the door. But Sam, you've been following Edison for a while?
Yeah, like a few years ago, like when you guys kind of initially were getting started and just making electric trucks just basic and simple and just keeping them true to what they are, just work vehicles.
Yeah, right on.
And so I just love how you guys were like, oh, okay, the limiting factor is just our range and the battery, and people are trying to solve for that. I'm like, just put a generator in the thing and just run it.
Right.
And I think that's just such a great way to approach diesel trucks and the semis and stuff. I didn't know about the LandCruiser.
Oh yeah, really?
I genuinely didn't.
We've done a pile of work on the axles, obviously, making these electric motors fit these axles. This is actually now a 5-ton axle. So this will carry as much weight as that Dodge Ram right there. That's
insane.
towing this, yeah.
How big of a battery do you guys put on there? I'm just
So
curious.
it's two 30 kilowatt hour batteries. So we've got 60 kilowatt hour range. We feel that's a nice, we designed this for like that truck. And then they came to us and said, put it in this truck. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do that.
It looks fantastic. As I was rolling in this morning, I'm like, okay, they're here already. So I'm just like walking around looking at cables and all that. And I'm like,
right on.
this is so cool.
Yeah, right
This is
on.
fantastic.
Thanks, Sam. Appreciate your time.
No
Thanks for
problem at
everything
all.
you guys are doing with the museum. And if you guys got to go check out this museum, go say hi to Sam.
Oh, yeah.
And he's learning more and more about Land Cruisers every day, and they're pretty unique, right? Pretty cool
They're
vehicles. yeah.
Fantastic vehicles.
All right, this museum was absolutely incredible, seeing all these Land Cruisers, but now I gotta shove Rich in a taxi, get him to the airport, and we're gonna start heading north back to Golden.
The Edison boys are going to take it to the Golden compound and start planning out the wiring. The batteries have shown up, so they're installing the batteries into the Land Cruiser and then shipping me the batteries for the Ram so I can keep going on the Ram. The Ram is going to be at Mopar Fest in August, so I only have a short little bit of time to get that looking like a truck. More than likely, it's going to look exactly the way that the Land Cruiser does now with all the bits in it, but still needing a bunch of programming and wiring, but that's okay.
We met with our customers. They were really, really impressed with the Land Cruiser. Obviously, because it's a mining industry, we can't go to the mine and show you, and they didn't want to be on film, which is understandable. They're a business. But they were really, really happy. They're excited to see the next changes. So we got the go ahead, we got the green light, put the batteries in, do up the wiring harness. They liked what we were doing.
So here we go.